what I love so much, and I wish you were around when I was in high school and college, but you're like here in a perfect time as we have this female empowerment and we have this change in our culture. And we're not afraid to be proud anymore. We're not afraid to put it out there and be like, sorry, tall's never looked this good before.
Exactly.
Like, I love that.
Exactly.
That is just my favorite. But you're like, it just felt so good to put that on, to be honest. Like, you could say it all you want, but to actually walk around, I got so many comments on that shirt.
Yes.
And then, every comment, you stand up a little bit straighter.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of From One Height Goddess to Another. I am Lamika, founder and creator of Height Goddess, and I get to bring you another amazing Height Goddess. We were just chatting before we got started, and I was telling my guest, I don't know how I came across her, but I'm very happy that I found her. Please welcome Kristen Brissett Harris to From One Height Goddess to Another. Hi, Kristen. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here. I know you gotta love Instagram, right? Somehow we came across each other.
I know Instagram has become my friend, actually. Been able to make some great contacts.
Yeah, it was really cool when you messaged me, and I was sporting a couple of your shirts out and about, and it just felt so good, and I've kind of found this like tall girl community, so I love it.
That is awesome. So before we get started with the good stuff, go ahead and tell our audience what everyone wants to know, how tall you are, and if you play the sport.
So I'm 5'11", always been tall. I played a sport, but, I didn't play those typical tall girl sports. I didn't play volleyball or basketball. I tried, but I wasn't any good at them. I swam for a long time, which your height helps there. And then I played tennis pretty much my whole life. And now I play golf. So yeah, growing up, I wasn't the typical tall girl sport, but I'm still an athlete.
But you did do the things that are easy on your knees. So
yes.
That is a good thing.
Didn't have to run a lot.
Right, exactly. That's awesome. So again, found you on Instagram, love just your energy, your positivity on there. And I thought to myself, and then when I found out how tall you were, I was like, I must talk to her. You told us a little bit about your story of growing up as a tall girl. So what was life like for you growing up as a tall girl?
So I grew up in Florida originally. Now my mom is about 5'10". My brother's about 6'3". My grandfather and uncle are about 6'5", and then my dad's 5'9". So my dad's side's the short Italian side, and then we have the tall English side. So I've always been tall. I look back at photos and I see like the knobby knees and the gangly arms. And I think I was trying on, I wear size 11, 12 shoe too. So I was trying on my mom's size 10 shoes when I was like in 6th grade. So I think growing up, especially in middle school, because we know how tough middle school is.
Yes.
I was taller than everybody. Yeah, maybe one or two of the guys. So I was the one that always slouched over. Mom's always telling you to stand up straight. I don't think I really embraced it that much. Once I got to high school, things kind of changed a little bit. I think I was okay being tall, but I still would slouch over.
Right. Okay.
I'm doing it like you can see me, right? I'm slouching over now. I still have that issue. So my parents were always supportive, kind of like you had, very supportive family. I knew how special it was. It was just a matter of figuring out what was comfortable. When I was in high school, jeans weren't long enough because bootcut jeans were in. So we were wearing capris before capris were capris. Size 11 shoe in high school, they didn't really have much. So I'd go to Payless or I'd wear like men's shoes. So here's this tall, skinny girl with big feet. So that was probably the most awkward phase. And then I'm very long-waisted. I'm more long-waisted than long legs. And we all know how tough that is to find shirts that are long enough and everything. So I was wearing crop tops before crop tops were cool.
Now it's like I was made for this. I had already did this. Well, the good thing about growing up in Florida, at least it was warm. So you didn't necessarily have to deal with the pants and, that kind of thing. So I went to Catholic school growing up. we always had to adjust my school uniform because the dress was always shorter than everybody else's. We had the base was, I think, a blue with a green stripe and a yellow stripe, whatever. But we would always have to buy a little bit of extra material and to give me some length on my school uniform. But growing up in Florida, you didn't have to have, jeans on or pants on all the time. So how did you maneuver from a clothing perspective for that?
Well, yeah, you put your arms down the side and the skirt or shorts have to reach your fingertips. That doesn't help tall women that have long arms.
Right.
Thankfully, like middle school, elementary school, I didn't go to private school. I went to fundamental school, so we were allowed to wear shorts. So that helped. But yeah, come high school, all the shorts were super short.
Wow.
And, even kind of to this day, maybe up until about 6-7 years ago, I used to be a sports anchor before I became this host of this lifestyle show.
Mm-hmm.
And two things. One, trying to fit in, being the only female around a bunch of males.
Mm-hmm.
I would wear like the pants that go, or the shorts that go down to your knees.
Mm-hmm.
I'd always wear collar, fully covered. But even then it was hard to find cute shorts to wear in 100-degree temperature where it's not just all leg, right?
Right, exactly.
Trying to be that girl.
That girl, right.
So I tried to blend in, and I didn't want to stand out because I knew walking into a room at almost 6 feet tall, I was going to stand out anyway.
Right.
And then it took me about a year or so in that role to learn to embrace that too. Just be like, who cares? The men don't care that I'm here. I mean, I'm not dressing scantily clad, but I just finally was able to feel like myself. So it was just that evolution where it still kind of comes up every now and then.
And that's a great into, your career. I mean, you're in a career that could especially in that former part of it, could be male dominated. How has your height helped you in being an anchor or being the host of a lifestyle show? How has that benefited you?
Well, in the sports world, so I was a sports anchor, sports reporter in Baltimore and Washington, D.C. for about 10 years. Again, walking in the locker room, you kind of stand out. Mm-hmm. You got to know your stuff. It doesn't matter how tall or short you are. So you got to know your stuff anyway. Once the players and the other reporters realized I knew what I was talking about, it didn't really matter. Most of my co-hosts have been like 5'6", 5'7".
I see your pictures and I'm like, yeah.
They're all so tiny. And I always get comments on guests when, because you never know how tall somebody is when you see them on TV. Mm-hmm. So I always get comments from guests. But I think it's more of just the presence, right? Mm-hmm. Being confident with the height, being able to wear some cool clothes that really stand out, and then just exuding that confidence has really just kind of helped. The biggest plus, I will say, is when I'm in a scrimmage or a scrum around a player, I'm taller than everybody. So I can stick my long arm in and look over, and I'm not stuck in between all these bodies. So that does help.
That's
sure.
Great. Definitely a good plus.
I always think like you're in a crowd, and our heads are usually above most people, so it's never that claustrophobic. And we were on vacation a couple of weeks ago with my little niece, and my brother picked her up to his eye level, right? So like 6'2", 6'3", and her mom goes, this is what Uncle Derek can see all the time. And you don't think about like what a kid that's 5 foot 4'11" is looking at compared to what we as 6 feet tall women are looking at.
That is so true. That's very true.
Oh, yeah. It's a totally different view up here.
It does really make a difference. I always say I think the first time that I actually visually saw myself, like what people saw, I was walking past, and I've walked past, storefronts and mirrors all the time. But for some reason, this particular time, it caught my eye and I was like, oh, that's what people see. Like I didn't realize it because when I saw myself walk past, I was like, oh, you're tall. And I was well into my 30s before I had that revelation. I don't know. But yeah, it definitely is a different view into how you do that. So when you're interviewing and when you're doing all those types of things, is being factored for different positions, do you think your height has helped you or how do you think maybe it's helped you?
I think it more or less it's just kind of helped stand out and help draw attention what you do with it from there. It helps kind of with the initial introduction. It helps with the initial, saying introduction to the interviewee. It helps stand out in the crowd, and people maybe for a group interview can see you. But then it's what you do with it afterwards, obviously. And I used to kind of slink down and be about the same height as everybody. And now it's like, who cares? And my height has served me in so many ways. Once I learned to embrace it, I started modeling when I was 12.
Okay.
And I modeled all over the world up until about, I was 26. So of course that helps, right? In that industry. So it got me into that industry, which helped build my confidence.
Okay.
And then when I was in college, I competed for Miss Florida USA.
Nice.
So the Miss USA pageant system. And you didn't have to have a talent for that portion. So that's why I did that one. I can't play the piano or sing with the dart. But I won like my second year in, and a lot of the modeling, the runway shows, all that kind of played into it. And being Miss Florida USA was like a crash course in living, a crash course in being personable and being able to be interviewed. And so everything that I've done and tried, and a lot of them are thanks to being tall, has led me to be the confident woman that I am today.
Right. That is awesome because, a lot of times when you're growing up, you don't understand what you have. And that unique ability that God gave you, something that very few women have, and for you to embrace it is definitely something that, that was why I wanted you on the podcast, because you did write a post and you were talking about how you didn't always embrace your height. And I think the fact that you decided to embrace it and you found various ways to do that, I think that's amazing. And for someone else to be able to hear that, I think that's just awesome.
Well, and it's about too kind of surrounding yourself with people. So my best friend and my maid of honor at my wedding is 5 feet tall.
Okay.
And I don't know about you, but I don't know. I have a lot of shorter than me friends.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And they all tend to be like 5 feet, 5'1". But she was so confident in her height, and she didn't mind having this, Amazon woman standing next to her type thing. So you find those connections with those people that either share your height or respect you for it. I've had people that I've worked with in the past that are intimidated by my height.
Right.
Other women, right, that I'm standing next to. And I will say, with the show that I host here in Washington, D.C., it's called Great Day Washington. My co-host now, her name's Ellen Bryan. She's fabulous. She's the most positive, kind person. She's a little shorter than me. She's kind of probably medium height. She has been so influential on me in the last year that we've worked together.
Wow.
Because she has embraced me, or encouraged me to embrace high heels. She's like, wear them. I don't care if you're 4 inches taller than me. Like, I want you to feel good next to me. It's that kind of thing. And that's another post. I wonder if you saw it. Another post I did. Ellen had commented because it was her 1 year anniversary. And I said, I am grateful for you for, opening my eyes to appreciating what I have. Most people are like, oh my God, you're taller than me. I have to stand on a box, or why can't you wear flats? I've worn flats pretty much my whole life.
Exactly.
Ellen's like, no, girl, wear those 4-inch heels. Like, you can rock them, wear them.
Exactly.
And so even over this last year, it's been a little bit of a transformation.
That's beautiful for that to happen, and for you to realize it, because that's the other thing. We're in this body and we don't realize it. And for someone to come along and say, hey, embrace what you have. That's definitely something I was going to ask you about. So you look amazing on the show. So how do you decide, what's your style like, is, in choosing your clothing and those types of things and being on the show?
So my everyday style is, listeners can't see me, but you can, like a sweater and jeans, or straight leg jeans, and my Sam Edelman flats. Like, that's pretty much what I wear all the time.
Yes.
The opportunity I get to dress up on the show obviously has evolved from being to sports into lifestyle. And even in the last 3 years that I've been in this job, just embracing fashion. We all got really into like Rent the Runway.
Yes.
Of course, all of us news anchors are into the Rent the Runway, which is fun. And doing that has pushed my fashion sense a little more.
Good.
Like, I wore this bright floral blazer the other day. Now it's $1,100. but it was a rental.
Right.
So I just sent it back. But I never would have worn that bold of a print before, right? A few years ago, I probably wouldn't have worn it to stand out. Mm-hmm. So even just being on this show, and again, I give credit to my co-host and I give credit to my team here that are just like, wear what you want, embrace yourself. Ellen has really great fashion sense. So she's kind of pushed me a little bit. And I'm just trying different silhouettes and trying different things I never would do before. It's all our own clothes. We do our own hair and makeup. So I've learned my one look to do. But I've actually had fun with clothes for the first time in a long time. That's this good. Last year.
Yeah.
And we're full body. So we have to, it used to be I could wear jeans and a cute top.
Exactly.
Now we're full body. But I've actually, once again, embraced having fun. We look good in clothes. Why are we not embracing it?
Exactly. This one, like, you look amazing. We look amazing anyway. So let's show up as our best self, feeling our best. Right. And that is, 100% when I'm creating designs for Hype Goddess, that is what I want. I want women to know when they put this on, that it was designed with love. It was designed with thought. It was designed that when you walk into the room, we know that all eyes are on you. So I want to make sure that what you have is the best representation of a Hype Goddess, Mm-hmm. And so, that's just a huge part of it, because while clothing, it's superficial, but it does give you that confidence to feel better and to be able to accomplish things that otherwise could be challenging for you to be able to do. So I love that.
And us as tall ladies, we can wear so many different things that others can't, right? Or don't feel as comfortable in. What I love so much, and, I wish you were around when I was in high school and college, but you're in a perfect time as we have this female empowerment and we have this change in our culture. Mm-hmm. And we're not afraid to be proud anymore. We're not afraid to put it out there and be like, sorry, tall's never looked this good before.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
That is just my favorite. But you're like, it just felt so good to put that on, to be honest. Like, you can say it all you want, but to actually walk around, I got so many comments on that shirt.
Yes.
And then, every comment, you stand up a little bit straighter.
Exactly.
So thank you for introducing me to that.
Absolutely. Because that is what it's about. I always look for the positive. What is it that you want to accomplish? How do you do that? I'm always about the words that you put after I am. It's very much reflective in what you get. And so when, Hype Goddesses are wearing their clothing, I want them to feel the confidence. So it happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen. So I'm thankful for that. Now, the one thing you did mention, and I am there with you in that department, is you mentioned a size 11, 12 shoe.
Oh, Lord, yes. Thank goodness for evolution of fashion, but man,
that is
tough
still
going there for a while.
Yeah, that is, that's still a struggle. You mentioned Sam Edelman. That is one of my favorite places. Now, their location in Soho, it is my first stop when I go to New York.
I haven't been there yet. I'm gonna have to go.
Oh my God!
I just ordered a pair from Nordstrom's big sale. Like, that's all I wear.
It's heaven. It is heaven. It is heaven. It is heaven. Anytime you're there, make sure you go. I remember one of my visits there. I think I ended up leaving with like 13 pairs of shoes or something like that.
Yeah.
And because I was shipping them, there was like no tax at that time. So I was like, oh, well, whatever that tax was, let me get another pair of shoes. So
I love it.
Yeah, I ended up buying so much, but I love Sam Edelman, sandals and especially in the summertime, not being that the little thong sandal that they came up with. I was never able to find that because for me, I actually have to go up a size in a sandal. And so sometimes that requires me going to a 13, and they have just been amazing. And they think about the design, and I don't feel like I'm wearing a old lady granny shoe. So yeah, I love Sam Edelman. Where other places do you like to find your shoes?
I get a lot of my shoes at Nordstrom, right? Yes. So I get Sam Edelman, some Vince Camuto. It just depends on the fit. I just connected with this brand. Now, I don't know if it would work for you. I'm trying to remember if they go up to only size 11 or 12. But it's called Ally. They're in New York too. Okay. ALLY. And they're a little bit on the more expensive side, but they are created with an orthopedic surgeon. And I tried out a pair of their closed pointed toe flat or heels. normally we can't wear pointed closed toe.
No.
And they're like 3 inches. They're super comfortable. And they just came out with flats too.
Mm-hmm.
So Ally's another one. Trying to think what else my Sam Edelman's are.
Yeah, Sam Edelman is my go-to. And I will admit, I was a Payless girl, especially growing up in high school, going to the prom. They had those dyeables.
Yeah.
So that was my thing. But it's so funny because when I first created Hype Goddess, and I didn't even have a name for Hype Goddess yet, Nordstrom Rack used to have the large foot sale, the large, big,
yes.
they used to have that, right? And so I've always traveled. I traveled a lot for work. And so this one particular time I started my day in Miami. And in Miami, I think there were 3 Nordstrom Racks. And so I timed my flight to where I could get to those 3 Nordstrom Racks, and I would make it back to Dallas in time to be able to get to the 2 Nordstrom Racks that were here. Like it's a whole strategy.
That's a girl after my own heart right there.
It's a whole strategy. But even in that, I didn't have a name for Hype Goddess, but because I knew all these tall women would be there and I knew what I wanted to do for Hype Goddess, I wrote out my name and my email address or my phone number on a card. And I just said, hey, I'm going to create a clothing line for tall women. Here's my information. I don't have anything yet, but just stay, let me talk to you, type of situation.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. So I was on the hunt for those shoes and for tall women. Before we wrap up, what is like your favorite success quote? You are a successful woman. You've had challenges, going through breast cancer. My mom is a 3-time breast cancer survivor. I know where that is and the beauty of coming out of that. And I know a positive mindset had a lot to do with my mom, but what are some success quotes, or what's your favorite success quote that you use?
I mean, I guess this would be considered a success quote, but it's what I have everywhere. I've got a journal with it. I've got a magnet. It's, Henry David Thoreau, live the life you've imagined.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really been working on that. I've been working with a life coach just to kind of fine tune my vision.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about imagining that life that you want, the vision that you want. There's no barriers. There's nothing stopping you. Putting it out. It's really that putting it out there in the universe, right? And waking up each day, what you're grateful for, the type of person you're going to be that day. So it's, live the life you imagined.
Mm-hmm.
And then something, if I ever need that inspiration or pick me up, I'm a big country music girl and I love me some Garth Brooks. The song that has gone with me my entire life is The River. I'm going to sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Like a bird upon the wind, these waters are my sky. And it's just going and going, just constantly pushing forward and going forward. Like you mentioned, I've gone through breast cancer twice. I'm kind of dealing with the residual effects now with medication. But if it wasn't for this second bout with breast cancer, I don't think I would be in this dream job right now, to tell you the truth.
Oh, wow.
I was a sportscaster. I was done. Like, I was tired of it. And this job that I have here at Great Day, Washington, I tried to get on it when they first started, but they'd already hired everybody. And I was actually out on medical leave. I was going through radiation, and I messaged the executive producer when I saw an opening. I said, hey, can I throw my name in the hat?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd already worked here 6 years, but I had to come and audition and do all that stuff. I had filled in on the show a couple of times, so I went to radiation treatment in Baltimore, and then I drove to DC and I did my audition. And I don't think I would have honestly had the courage to even go for it, or the courage to give up what I was doing before, even though I was unhappy, if it hadn't been for this. I know it sounds so weird, but
makes total sense.
I mean, it sucks to have cancer. You don't want to do that.
Right.
But it was kind of like that opening that door. And so that's why the way I try and look at things is just kind of keep pushing. You have this vision for yourself. You have this vision for your life. So live in your life like you're doing that now.
Yes.
That's what you were doing when you were at the Nordstrom Racks in Miami and Dallas, right?
Yes.
I mean, you imagined this company and you were living in it. You were acting like the CEO of your company already, even though you didn't have it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is exactly what I want people to know. And especially, of course, I'm a lover of women. I'm a huge supporter of women. And when it comes to my tall women, there's even more of a special love. So I love the message that you have delivered. And it is my hope that, of the listeners that hear it, that someone takes it and they are able to live the life that they've imagined. That's huge. So whether it's some young girl or someone who is, an adult woman, I hope she hears this and I hope it allows her to embrace her height. So Kristen, thank you so much for being my guest. I really appreciate it. How can our listeners find you on social media channels?
So I'm everywhere on Instagram at Kristen Bursett. Pretty much everywhere at Kristen Bursett.
Okay.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
That's good. That makes it easy.
Yeah. Hit me up. And we're a lifestyle show. If you have a great story or you're an expert at something and you want some pub, we're in Washington, D.C. We're in the nation's capital. Hit me up. Send me your pitches. I love meeting people. That's been the good thing about COVID-19 is normally we would have guests in studio. But now, I can talk to you and do an interview, right? So I can talk to people all over the country. So if you're an expert decorator or a chef or have a cool line, or have some fashion tips, hit me up. Let me know.
Oh, yeah.
Send me a DM.
I will definitely send my pitch. Actually, I'm sitting here talking to you and I didn't even think about my own pitch. What am I thinking about? I'll definitely do that. You guys heard it. Definitely. Thank you, Kristen, so much for being my guest on From One Height Goddess to Another. And listeners, thank you for tuning in for another episode. And until I have another amazing Height Goddess, you guys have a great and amazing month.